I was muted. Why was I muted? Oh my gosh. Well, I'm Rebecca Johnson of Supergirl Radio, in case you didn't know, because I was muted. So we are going to be talking about All-Star Superman number 11. And Morgan, if you are ready to go, I'm going to pull you into the stream. Thank you for letting me know I was muted. I don't know why I was muted. There was no, I didn't mute myself. I don't know why that happened.
I was like, is she supposed to be like speaking?
Am I supposed to be hearing sound coming out of her mouth? Yes. The answer is yes.
What
Always.
if the whole episode was just us like with no sound?
That's bad for us because sometimes we go pretty long. So if it was like that a 5-minute stream, it would maybe be okay.
What if we mime the whole episode?
Don't give me any ideas.
We're gonna tell you what we thought of this issue through interpretive dance.
I wonder if we could get someone who could sign and just
interpret things. The little ASL interpreter in the corner.
Yes, I would love to know what the sign language is for like Solaris or Solaris, the sun tyrant. Yes,
Zabaro's poetry.
That would be wild for the interpretation of that, but I think that would be pretty cool. Well, no, Brian, was not audio problems on my end, I guess. I had audio I had no audio. So those were problems on my end, but not on your end. So thank you for catching that, Morgan. And I guess we should go ahead and get started. Lots to talk about in this penultimate episode of the All-Star Superman series that we've been reading. So we're very close to finishing it. I guess Superman's gonna die. I don't know. We've been told this for a long time.
Or maybe he's already dead. Who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? So we will get into it and we'll discuss the issue. So join us for our discussion of All-Star Superman number 11.
McGurk! I love typing.
Not mess with my Google Docs, Meeksy.
Supergirl Radio is going live every night of the week. How do you like it? Is becoming a human burrito a plus or a minus? I don't know. It does seem snug.
I mean, they say you are what you eat.
Kira. I love that.
So I do a podcast called Supergirl Radio, and one of our segments is Lena Luthor, Boardroom or Ballroom, because
she looks like a boss in this coat.
Nasty Luthor like a different Luthor? It's not just Lena being mean?
No.
Helen Slater here. So fun to know that you're hosting a podcast called Supergirl Radio.
Yes! Welcome to Supergirl Radio, your source for all things related to the character of Kara Zor-El. My name is Rebecca Johnson.
I'm Morgan Glennon.
And for this episode of the podcast, we are live and wired to review All-Star Superman number 11, which was written by Grant Morrison with pencils by Frank Quitely, digitally inked and colored by Jamie Grant, and lettered by Phil Bossman and Travis Lanham. So we do have some All-Star Superman news, but I think we should wait for next week on that, just to like wrap up All-Star Superman. I think it would be a good discussion point about some All-Star Superman news that I saw this week, but we're going to hold it for next week when we wrap up the series. So stay tuned for that. So let's
I want to say, as a programming note,
yes,
we know that tomorrow/today/yesterday, depending on when this episode comes out.
Yes, or when you listen to it in the podcast feed.
When you listen to it, it could be any time. It could be years ago.
Imagine that. Or years in the future.
Oh my God, we've traveled to the future. But we understand that Supergirl is coming. The new Supergirl comic is coming out this week. We're gonna finish up All-Star Superman next week, and then we're gonna see what's going on with our favorite girl.
We're gonna get back to Supergirl. So we're gonna wrap this up, and then we are gonna get into a new series. So just in time. So we had a little bit of a decision to make on whether we're going to wrap up All-Star Superman and then get into Supergirl. So that is what we've decided. So hope you'll join us for the new Supergirl series that's coming out, and maybe we'll even cover the new Crypto series as well. Maybe if we have time.
We're big fans of crypto here at Supergirl Radio. I see Stanley in the chat said lots of big news tomorrow: Superman trailer and new Supergirl comic.
Lots of Superman family stuff going on. I saw a new poster that came out. I still don't love the CW aesthetic that they've chosen to go with for the Superman posters, but it
on
is
an all new season of Superman.
But there is a promise of a new Superman trailer, which I hope involves people speaking to each other and maybe plot details. What is this movie about? I assume Superman. There's Superman things that are happening
in it, I think.
I'm told there's Crypto the super dog. They've leaned on Crypto pretty heavily in the marketing.
We all love a dog.
We love Crypto, so we're not complaining too much, but it would be nice to hear some characters speak to each other and to know what is happening in the movie. I personally would enjoy that. So we'll have to see what the new Superman trailer shows. I don't know, Morgan. I guess this is a question we could ask. Would you want them to tease Supergirl if she's in the movie?
Ooh, I don't know, because I do think that like her popping up randomly and everybody being like, oh, gasp, would be really fun.
Yeah.
Part of me thinks that she's going to be in the movie in like a post-credit scene,
probably,
where it's like dun 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 coming soon. So in that case, I think I wouldn't tease that, because that's going to be like supposed to be a surprise. But if she actually shows up in the movie and like speaks and does stuff, put her in the trailer for sure.
Oh yeah. My thought is I would like her to. I almost want her to be in the trailer just so we can say people showed up to this movie because of Supergirl.
It was obviously
they were
Supergirl.
just here for Supergirl.
We all turned out for Supergirl. Everyone wore the shirts.
Get them in the DCTV podcast T Public store, supergirlradio.com, at the link at the top of the page. But yeah, so I think it would be a beneficial to them to put Supergirl in the trailer so that people know she's there and they will come out in droves for Supergirl. But I also, there's the larger part of me is like, I want to see her on the big screen. I don't want that tease too early. So I anticipate it will not involve Supergirl tomorrow, but it would be nice to see more of kind of what the world is like and kind of what the story is. So Superman is coming. It's pretty close.
It's around the corner.
It is almost summertime. I always think of like the end of May as summertime. Like end of May is like the end of spring to me. And then we jump into summer in June. So summer is almost here. So that means the Superman movie is coming up and upon us. So we'll have to watch out for what the Superman trailer looks like when it does come out. I guess in continuing to talk about Superman news, I guess, or not Superman news, we are just Superman things. Let's get into the episode or the issue that we are going to discuss for this episode of Supergirl Radio. So this is All-Star Superman number 11, and this one is titled Red Sunday, and the description for it reads, quote, Superman dead? What is the secret behind the Daily Planet's ominous headline from the future? And what does Clark Kent have to say about it? All the pieces of Lex Luthor's master plan to kill Superman begin to come together, building up to the Big Bang next issue. Point unquote. So yeah, this is the penultimate episode, or as the series calls them, or issue of All-Star Superman. So this is the next to last issue for this series. So we are very close to the end here. And I guess my first question to you, Morgan, is Superman has been doing these challenges and it's getting harder for him to complete them as he starts to get sicker or weaker. And so this one was a pretty tough one for All-Star Superman number 11. Superman has to go up against a sun tyrant, and he has to figure out how to defeat the sun tyrant. So Morgan, I was curious, what did you think about this challenge that Superman has to face and how he ultimately rises to the occasion?
Yeah, I thought obviously formidable challenge. The sun tyrant Solaris. I don't really know the sun tyrant that well, and it felt like I was supposed to.
Everybody knows Solaris.
Everybody's talking about Solaris as if we've all met Solaris, but like I don't know her. There's a panel where like Lois and Jimmy are going through the city, and I think it's Jimmy that's saying it's an evil artificial star from the future. He winds up reformed as part of the intersolar computer network, but right now he's mad. He's power mad. I was like, how does Jimmy know this? Is this part of his project? Like, does he still have access to the project servers? Is he still skimming off the top or something?
Yeah, I wonder if Quantum has told him something, or if maybe he learned it from Superman. Superman knows that something positive will happen with Solaris in the future. There's like a redemptive story arc, I guess, for Solaris in the future, and so maybe something better is coming, because Superman does reference something. He says, by the 24th century, I'm told you'll have been rehabilitated to work with humanity instead of against them. And he says that rehabilitation begins here. So I don't know, maybe it's common knowledge that like there's a knowledge of the future that everybody just happens to know, that Solaris is going to be sort of redeemed in the future. But also, does that make like Solaris attacking Metropolis less scary because they know that in the future everything is going to work out, I guess?
I mean, in theory, maybe. It's funny. I felt like a little lost because I was like, how does everybody know who Solaris is? How does everybody know that in the future Solaris is like a good guy? Everybody seems to know this. This seems to be very common knowledge. I didn't know it. And I felt like I had sort of missed a step. I see that Mind the Gap says, that Solaris first appeared in DC 1 million. He was hinted at in All-Star Superman #2. I do think that they mention, that Superman goes up against like a tyrant son or something like that as like part of the challenges. Maybe it was like from the future or something.
Issue or episode #2 is Clark's or Superman's Forbidden Room. So that was when I believe Lois goes to the fortress and they have dinner with the Titanic. So that was way back there in the beginning of All-Star Superman.
Yeah, I was really trying to find where they mentioned it because I do remember also them mentioning a tyrant son, but I don't feel like in the mention of the tyrant son they were like, oh, also that guy turns out to be a real bro. So I found myself to feel like a little bit like out of sorts with like, how does everybody know who Solaris is? I didn't know that the tyrant son had a name, but it's nice to meet him or her. But how does everybody know that Solaris is good in the future? I felt like I had sort of missed an issue, which is possible that I just like missed a finer detail, but it confused me a little bit. I was like, okay, is this that I'm not paying enough attention, or like, why, how does everyone know this?
I think that's a good question, especially about Jimmy. I would sort of understand that Superman knew some things because he's been dealing with these challenges, but Jimmy knowing things, it's a harder reach for me to get there. One of the things that I had questions about was Solaris being both a son, I guess, and also a computer. That was an interesting take on this character.
Every issue, there's something that confuses me so much that I feel like the narrative is just like, he's a son and he's a computer. Moving on. And you're like, wait, what if we didn't move on? What if we circled back around to that and talked about how he's a son and a computer? Because when he started to when he was fighting Superman, he's like, curse you 001001, and I was like, wait, what?
I can maybe buy either Superman has to fight a tyrant son, or I can buy he has to fight a solar supercomputer. I don't know that I can buy that he's fighting both of those combined into one figure. That's somewhat harder of a stretch for me.
It because like a lot is happening at that point. There's just the son is having like a lot of backstory that I don't feel like we get entirely. When they're fighting him is like poison sun 00101. I was like, oh. Uh-oh. I just feel like I feel like I should know the stakes of the battles that Superman is having with his enemies. I should have some idea of who the enemy is and like what kind of challenge he presents. And I left this being like, wait, I feel like I want to learn so much more about Solaris. He's a son. He's working with Lex Luthor. His name is Solaris. He's also a computer. And in the future, he's going to be great. But like, there's a lot going on with this little guy.
Yeah. There are a couple of things I guess we learn about Solaris. Solaris has red rays. So that becomes a problem for Superman. So he devises a different suit that he can use to protect himself from the red sun radiation. Solaris also makes mention that I think when Superman is dead, Solaris wants to replace the sun. I guess our yellow sun. So I thought that was interesting. Solaris has goals, ambitions.
That's nice.
Things to accomplish.
Solaris is girl bossing. Leaning in, if you will.
I did have a question for you, Morgan, because I think a lot of this issue plays into the overall overarching storyline of Superman's inevitable death that is supposed to be coming. What I thought was interesting, there's one panel where Superman in his new sort of red sun suit with his robots flying up to greet Solaris. We read Solaris say, "Come Superman, come die." So I thought that was a nice bit of foreshadowing that was coming for Superman, that was sort of playing through it. But then I was also thinking about how the reason that Superman is apparently dying is because he had too much of the sun.
Yep.
I don't know how that works because really Superman's powers are generated from the yellow sun. So I'm still kind of trying to get over the idea that like what gives him powers is now killing him.
To be fair, though, sometimes you can become too powerful. Like, think about when you have one coffee and you're feeling great. And you have like 3 coffees and suddenly you're like, am I too powerful? Right? I'm seeing in the past, the present, and the future right now.
Or you have too many coffees and then it's like lights out. You have like sometimes for me it's like I have too many coffees and somehow I have to like take a nap or like I can't function.
I have too many coffees and like my hand
jittery.
is shaking and I'm like, is everyone else really paranoid? I wonder if that's how Superman's been feeling this whole time.
Cut Morgan off on 3 cups of coffee. She does not.
I am not allowed to have, like a gremlin, I'm not allowed to have full caffeinated coffee after a certain hour of the day. I have been disallowed from having it because I've been told that then I want to do house projects at 9 p.m. at night.
Oh, no, don't do that.
It's not good. And apparently no one likes it.
If that is referencing Mike, I just want to tell Mike, I agree with you. I think no one should do household projects at 9 p.m. at night.
I'm like, do you want to reorganize a closet? He's like, no. 10:30. I was like, but I'm so alive. So again, there can be too much of a good thing.
Yes, no, I understand. But what I also thought was interesting is that now Superman is going, he's dying because of the sun, and now he is having to face a sun kind of figure because it's like half a sun and half a supercomputer. So I thought that was interesting as we head into the end of this series. Superman is now like fully having to fight a sun, which I don't know. There's like an interesting bookend to that for me. That in issue 1 is when he sort of finds out that too much sun is killing him, and now here right at the end he is going up against a quote tyrant sun. So I did, even though I'm kind of like not fully understanding how all of that works, I think that's an interesting storytelling device to have the sun play into all of this.
Now, I haven't read, as we all know, this is my first time through this run, so anything I may guess is probably wrong. But I wonder if the sun is going to play a part. I'm so sorry.
Those are the cats.
Yeah, I think he's just bored. I'm gonna ignore it.
I could hear some cat-like sounds. Yes,
he's not even in eyesight. That's how loud he is.
Who
I don't
is
know.
it?
I think it's Beaker. Oh boy. No, he's fine. I'm sure he's fine. Sounds great. But I wonder if this is going to have some, if this tyrant sun is going to play some role in saving Superman. Like if it's sort of like the antidote is just a little bit of the poison kind of thing. Okay. All right. I see him. He's just walking around with his toy screaming. So it's cool.
Well,
he's a good cat.
I guess my question for you, because I have been trying to work out how I feel about this. We've had 11 issues telling us that Superman is dying.
Yep.
I have gone through this whole story. How is Superman going to die? It's supposed to happen. If my conflicted feeling is if Superman does not die in issue 12, I'm gonna be a little mad because this whole thing is like dragging me through to kill Superman, and then if he does, I don't want Superman to die.
So you become pro Superman death.
Well, I don't want Superman dead, but like if you're gonna go through this whole story telling me that Superman is dying, and then at the very end you're like, hey, miraculous save from the tyrant son or something, I don't know that I would care for that.
So to be fair, he does kind of die at the end of this issue, the penultimate issue. We see Clark rush to the Daily Planet to get his byline out before he dies, and then just sort of plops down and dies at work. A bummer for Clark. But honestly, they didn't even notice when he was gone for weeks at a time, stuck in his Shakespeare bathroom, eating a leftover Thanksgiving sandwich. So I feel like this too shall pass for them, But I guess technically Superman has died? Question mark in this issue.
They do say that he's not breathing and he has no heartbeat.
So my guess is that he's going to make a miraculous survival at some point in the next issue, but maybe he'll be dead for a little while. And my guess, just based off of nothing but reading, is that this tyrant sun is going to have some effect on Superman. And his solar poisoning, like if you get even more solar poisoning, you get unpoisoned. I don't know.
It has like a reverse psychology effect or something.
Exactly. You should tell me I shouldn't do something, and then I'll want to do it. Tell me drink the coffee, and then I won't. But yeah, so I kind of think that maybe the sun is going to play some role in bringing Superman back to life after he has quote unquote died at the end of this issue. But I could be wildly wrong, honestly. I don't know.
Yeah, I read this probably 20 years ago. So this is almost like my first reading for it because my memory is so bad these days. So I don't remember what happens at the end. But I guess ultimately, if I came down to it, I think I would be pro Superman death. I think if you're going to do this, you need to kill him. Just commit to it and kill him off. And I honestly, because I know we sort of mentioned and we're joking about the Daily Planet staff, but I feel like this maybe should teach them a lesson.
Yeah.
Maybe value Superman while he's here. Give Clark Kent his flowers while he's alive. Don't. I noticed in this issue, Lois, when she sees Clark's like lifeless body, heart not breathing, on the floor, she maybe has like some emotions about Clark. She doesn't know what to like say about it. She's like, Clark is, and like she can't finish the sentence. And I'm like, oh, so now you care about Clark Kent.
We to be fair though, we didn't hear the end of that sentence, which could have been her coughing and saying annoying.
That's true. She could have called him like an oaf or something.
And then she's like, am I right? And then they all high five. I don't know. This kind of is not so nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I did like that Lois finally had some reaction to Clark, not specifically Superman being in trouble. But it wasn't a big reaction. It was like, what do you mean he's dead? Not my old Clark. It just happens at the end of the issue, so there's not a lot of time, but I kind of continues my feelings about this version of Lois Lane, which is that she's not my favorite.
She's kind of the worst.
Let's
not beat around the bush. This Lois is like the pits.
We don't like her. And also, once again, it seems like Lois is going to do something in this issue, and she ultimately doesn't. In fact,
Jimmy does a lot of the stuff. Yeah.
This has been my issue with her this whole run, is like, not only is she kind of mean, which would be fine, I think, if she was also competent. But she's neither of these things. I think I could get on board with like kind of a mean Lois Lane who like gets things done and like investigates things and like really gets into the weeds and then is just kind of mean to Clark. I feel like
she's like she's mean because she is sure of herself.
Exactly.
Maybe gets things done.
Maybe kind of like a Terry, like early season Terry Hatcher, Lois Lane.
Yeah.
Where like she's like, oh, I'm so annoyed, I'm like stuck with you and I'm so much better than you and I'm going to show you why, specifically by doing work.
And but she really was better than him.
Of course, as she always is, except in this run. But this Lois Lane doesn't do anything. So like even in this issue where there's like there's a prison break, there's a tyrant son on the loose, it's Jimmy who seems to know what's going on. It's Jimmy who talks to Nasty Luther and is like, we'll put you in the paper. We'll get your good side. And Lois doesn't really do anything. Lois is just physically there, which is my issue with her in almost all of these issues, is that whenever Lois pops up, she doesn't do anything or contribute to the plot really in any way as like an active participant. She's just sort of there.
That means you could remove her from the scene and it wouldn't
Absolutely.
change at all.
She only I hate saying this, but she only exists in this run to be his love interest and nothing else. Like, she doesn't have any agency. She doesn't have any interest. We don't get to see her investigate. We don't get to see her do anything. She's just sort of there for people to tell things to, or for her to see things and have reactions to. She doesn't seem to have any agency of her own. So like, it's not just that she's kind of mean in this run. It's also that she doesn't get to do anything. So there's nothing to even like about her in this run.
But Superman has good things to say about her.
He
in
seems
this
to
issue.
still like her for some reason.
He says, "But Lois, dear Lois, I loved you most of all." And I was like, "Why? Why?"
I was like, that's like a beautiful sentiment, but like, it's kind of like the Arrested Development thing where you're like, really? Her?
You really her?
Okay. Is she funny or something?
Yeah, so she's only really the love interest of Superman, not of Clark Kent and Superman.
Yeah.
Just Superman in this series. So I don't know. I'll be curious to see what happens in the final issue with Lois. I don't know where we're going to go with her. I think we definitely have some idea of how things are going to go given the cliffhanger, but I would be interested to see if if anything changes for Lois. Would she have more to do? Would she have more of a character? Would she have more of a relationship with Clark? I don't know. I'm curious to see if anything happens with her, because I think the disappointment, to your point, in talking about how she's not doing anything, she really has she's played no pivotal role in this. Jimmy's done a lot of things. Even Steve Lombard has like played a part in some of the storylines.
He threw that lady out that window.
He definitely killed a lady. But Lois has done nothing, I don't think, that really has played any kind of pivotal role. The biggest thing for her was finding or being told that Clark Kent was Superman, and that was kind of it.
Which she did not even accept, mind you.
And she didn't even investigate either, that I could tell.
She was not interested in learning any more about that.
So maybe we have one issue left. Maybe it can be turned around for Lois at the very end.
Well, there'll be one good Lois issue in a 12-issue run.
We'll be like, finally, it's here.
Yay!
Yeah. So we got to see Lois and Jimmy sort of covering some of the things that were happening in Metropolis with the Sun Tyrant. I am curious about your thoughts on how Superman ultimately defeats Solaris, the Sun Tyrant, and that is from an old friend who if you love something, let it go, and if it comes back to you, that's how you know that it really truly loved you. And so Superman has an experience like that in this issue where he has previously let his Sun Eater that he had in the Fortress of Solitude go. He thought it would be best for the Sun Eater to go on its own, find its own path, because he was going to die. And the Sun Eater comes back into play here, fittingly, with a Sun Tyrant. So Morgan, what did you think about the Sun Eater really playing a heroic part in this issue?
I loved it, but I hated it also because, as we all know, I have become quite attached to the baby Sun Eater. I think he looks like more of a teenager now.
He might be mature, yeah.
Sort of a mid-sized Sun Eater. And I love him. I've always loved him. So I like that he came back and had this big heroic moment. I like that Superman was like, no, go back to your own kind. And the Sun Eater was like, Papa. But I hate that he died. I don't care if it was heroically. I don't think it's right. I love that Sun Eater. How dare you kill him? I think as I was reading it, I yelled, no.
If he's a Sun Eater, shouldn't he have eaten Solaris, the Sun Tyrant?
I thought this was going to be an open and shut, honestly. He eats suns. Solaris is a sun. Maybe it was the computer. Maybe he was like the ones and zeros as he exploded or whatever. Yeah, I didn't really understand why he wouldn't be able to eat Solaris, the tyrant son, because he is a sun eater. The only thing I can think of is as it not a full-grown sun eater, he just wasn't powerful enough.
But he gave his all for Superman.
He gave his life. Oh, it's so beautiful. I feel like the rest of the issue, honestly, should have just been like a memorial to the baby sun eater. Like they go to the baby sun eater funeral. They cry a lot. They they swap memories of the baby sun eater. A lot. We lost a lot of real ones in this issue. We lost the baby sun eater. R.I.P. May you never forget him. We also lost robot number 7.
I know.
Dramatically.
Some of the robots went out pretty heroically as well. They went with Superman to the final end.
It was a hard day for the Fortress, that's for sure.
Yeah, it took a lot of hits from people in the Fortress of Solitude. Yeah, so this took a lot of effort to stop Solaris the Sun Tyrant, which I thought was interesting because in the art, Solaris is orange, like a yellow orange for most of it, and then Superman, I guess, what is your interpretation of what Superman does to Solaris? Does he punch Solaris and then cause like a mushroom cloud atom bomb kind of thing?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I was unclear about how Superman ultimately defeats Solaris, because he gets really upset after the baby sun eater is killed, and he said, "You killed him! You killed him!" I was like, "Yes, I am this upset as well. Thank you," because I love the baby sun eater. And this is the first time we even got to see the baby sun eater, because usually he was like off screen.
Yeah, little teases.
He was like
here
off
and there.
Yeah, off screen, kind of like Superman was in all of Supergirl season 1.
Just
Like
a boot.
you'd see like just a boot, and for the baby sun eater, you see like one little tentacle or something. I was like, what? Do they not have the budget to draw it?
Have they not cast the Sun Eater yet?
They're not sure who's going to play the Sun Eater. So it was nice to see him. He looked gorgeous. Loved all the tentacles. But yeah, when the tyrant sun drops down, Solaris drops down. He does say poisoned sun amongst his 001s, and I was like, what does that mean? And then it looks like Superman. It looks like he punched him in a specific spot that I guess is bad for the sun. I don't know. I'm not really sure. He said, "There's a way to everyone's heart, and I can see yours." Are we supposed to? Did he punch him in the sun heart? Is that what happened?
That is an interesting take. I would not have even connected the dots for that. It does look like maybe before Robot 7, RIP for Robot 7. It looks like he's trying to tell Superman something about Solaris stole formula. He keeps repeating that, stole for Luthor, must atone. I don't know if that has something to do with the poisoned aspect. I'm not really sure. Something Solaris invaded neural net. Something about wiping the files.
So from what I could understand, Robot 7 was accidentally betrayed Superman, I think, by getting hacked by Lex Luthor. But I don't think I had put together that, or I'd forgotten that Solaris was part of that. So Lex Luthor has that super serum, I believe, because he stole it from Superman, who had put it together in the last issue.
Lois, or is it
for Lois?
Could be for Lois, because she had her powers for 24 hours as well.
In issue 2. In fact, Mind the Gap says the robot showed signs of being hacked in issue 2. It was the same robot that left the door open, so Lois was exposed to that chemical,
the hyper paranoid chemical. Yeah, okay.
So there were signs that robot number 7 was not doing so well, and that's why robot number 7 was like, I'm trying to atone for my mistakes, which is getting hacked, essentially. And that's how Luthor got this serum, and that Solaris was involved, which is, I guess, why the sun also needs to be a supercomputer. Although I don't necessarily know that those two things needed to go together.
I don't fully understand it.
Yeah, it's like we're adding a lot. We're really gilding the lily there. Like the sun's also a computer. It's like, how like a child would tell you a story. It's like, and he fought the sun. You're like, cool, that sun's a computer. Sure. All right.
Don't see how that's relevant, but okay.
So you're adding a lot of elements to this narrative. So yeah, it said Solaris invaded. The robot says Solaris invaded the neural net, stole the formula, stole for Luthor. So he as he ends up dying, poor robot number 7, he says, "Forgive 7." It's very tragic. I was like, all my favorite characters. Not robot number 7, not the baby sun eater.
This was really like, like a TV like a season of television comes to the end of the season. Like things are ramping up, things are happening in that penultimate episode and the season finale. You want like big things happening and big character deaths.
Getting serious.
Yeah. So I think it's appropriate that those kinds of things are happening. I just thought, like, in the art, I thought it was cool that Solaris went from sort of a warm orange and yellow, and then when the mushroom cloud happens, Solaris then becomes blue and sort of yellow and green. So it looks like Solaris is out for the count now. What I did think was funny after that happens, though, is there is a shot there's like a panel. It's like a full close-up panel of Superman's red sun suit that has a bunch of holes in it and like his helmet. So I was like, did Superman, did he get like burned out of his suit, or did he like take it off so that he could put on his Clark Kent clothes to go to the Daily Planet? Like he just sort of ditched his suit.
I think if you follow what's happening with the suit, which I wasn't really, the suit starts to tear when he begins to fight it,
right?
And then you can see that there's tears when he's punching that, I don't know, cortex or whatever of the thing, and it starts to be like 1001, which I guess is like, hey, don't do that. And then when you see him like attacking the Tyrant Sun and saying you killed him, you can see that the suit is kind of disintegrating around him. So I think that like by the time he gets to Earth, the suit's pretty messed up. The suit's pretty janky at that point. So I think he does a quick change.
Okay, so he's not like running around Metropolis naked. We
Well,
think he maybe
sure.
changed into Clark Kent clothes. That's what I would like to believe, because I think that would be highly inappropriate, Superman. But he does go as Clark Kent to the Daily Planet soon after that. So I assume that is what is happening. And there's even a panel where Superman is flying and it looks like he has his Clark Kent suit or shirt or something on.
Oh yeah, you can see
wrist.
like the shirt. That's probably why they put the little bit of wrist in. So they're like, no, he's not naked.
He is not without clothes, just flying around Metropolis. So I did think that was pretty funny, though. Okay, so we did sort of mention the ending. So we'll back up to sort of explain the ending. So Morgan, I was curious about your thoughts on the Lex Luthor stuff in this issue, because it starts off really kind of serious.
Dramatic.
Lex Luthor is in the chair, about to get electrocuted, and the death penalty is coming for him. We've been told that Lex Luthor was going to die. And just like we've been told Superman was going to die.
And we were wrong the Lex Luthor time.
So what did you make of Lex Luthor creating a 24-hour super serum so that he could get in the chair and not die? And then that's how he, I guess, breaks out of Strikers. I guess my question is, why did he go through all this trouble when he had that ability to go down into that cave-like thing where Nasty was like rowing people out on that boat? Like, why didn't he just go out on the boat? Why did he like go through all this work?
I don't know. He's always like, I always have a plan. I'm 10 steps ahead. And I was like, why is your plan like that then? Like
Yeah.
I feel like there has to be a more direct plan. He's adding a lot of complications to this plan where things could go very terribly wrong for him. He's like, no, my whole plan is that like Superman as a birthday gift to his girlfriend is going to make her super. I know this because he's dying, and that's what I would do if I was dying, and also if I wasn't so single. It's like, well, why would he assume that Superman would have a super serum? I think that's step one.
Well, he does make he makes it, I guess, out of he in the previous issue he was seen reading a book about mixing cocktails or something, and so he references
Oh, that's
that
true.
as the sort of the thing that he was reading to learn how to do that. So yeah, I think for Lex Luthor there's probably a reason. Mind the Gap in the chat says he was waiting for Solaris and Superman to be supposedly weaker, so I could maybe buy that. I was just like, if he wanted to leave the prison, he could have done it at any time. So he made the choice to stay in the prison and potentially get electrocuted in the chair. But it was also pretty brutal how he did it, because once he got the powers, he heat visions one of the guards and just
Immediately.
eviscerates that guy and kills him.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they all died in the fire that he seems to use his heat vision on. So it doesn't look like it ended well for anyone who was in that room with him. Not great.
This is no longer Lex Luthor in the booty shorts. This is Lex Luthor full pant legs.
Pant legs.
Serious business.
Stepping into his power, leaving the booty shorts of his boyhood behind. Yeah, I thought that was a really dramatic way to start the issue. I do find myself kind of loving this really campy version of Lex Luthor that they have in All-Star Superman, who is like super smart, but also, again, it has to do the most at all times. Like, he did this for the drama, for sure.
Oh, he totally did.
He was like, it would be so dramatic. It would be so crazy is if I waited until I was getting electrocuted and then was like, I've got powers.
Do you also maybe think, I was just kind of thinking about this, because at one point when he's in the chair, he says, typical, Superman didn't even bother to show up. Do you think maybe it's possible that he went through this whole electric chair just to see if Superman would come?
Just to see if Superman would come save him. Yeah, I could see this. I could see this because this version of Lex Luthor is like, I hate you. What are you doing later? I hate you, but you're gonna come to my birthday party. Just as like a joke. Just as a joke. I made you this best friend bracelet just as a joke. So I could for sure see him being like, I'll let it get all the way to the chair. But if he doesn't come, oh boy, I'm going to be so mad.
And he's taking his anger out on Superman by becoming superpowered and I guess wanting to fight Superman. So I guess to Mind the Gap's point, he's waiting for Superman to get physically weaker to have an upper hand on him. And so Lex Luthor, at the end of the issue, he is now super powered up for 24 hours. He's got his typical Lex Luthor green and purple on. He looks like he is ready for a fight, but he shows up at the Daily Planet for some reason, so I don't know why that is. But I'll be curious to see what Lex Luthor does in the final issue of this series.
He's got a blimp too.
He's
got a Lex Luthor blimp. That's fun.
He also his niece, I think, maybe in this issue is Nasty his niece.
It seems like Nasty.
Yeah, because it's
his niece,
yeah, because she calls him Uncle Lexi. She is also out and about. What did you think about Nasty in this issue?
I guess the question is, if Nasty Luthor is Lex Luthor's niece in this run, does that mean that Lena Luthor is her mom?
Possibly, because typically Lena is Lex's sister.
And does Lex have other sisters?
Not that I know of. It's possible, but typically Lena is his sister, and he does ask Nasty, "How's your mom?"
He does ask Nasty, "How's your mom?" I love Nasty Luthor in this issue. I wish that she was in this run more. I wish that this run was just about her because she seems deeply unwell, and
she is deeply unwell.
I'm obsessed. So she's talking to her mom, and she's like, "Obviously, Mom, I'm at a Luthor lair. No, I'm not going to tell you which one. Ew. Uncle Lex takes my world domination plan seriously, Mom. Unlike you." Oh. And then she like hangs up. Very typical. And I also love that she's completely like chill about the fact that he has superpowers. He just shows up with superpowers. She's like, cool.
She wants to know what it's like because I think she wants those superpowers too.
She says, "When can I get all superpowered up?" And Lex says, "On the day I can trust you with the keys to the family car," which made me laugh so much that like in the middle of Lex Luthor being like, letting all these convicts escape from the prison and like heat ray visioning a guard and like being like, "I'm going to kill Superman. I have a whole plan." He's like, "But seriously, if you scratch that car."
I wonder what kind of car it is.
I don't know.
What would the Luthorian family car be like? I'm sure like heavily armored is my guess.
I can only imagine. It seems like the love of booty shorts is a family trait because that's what she's wearing in this one.
Yeah.
And she watches as he puts together like a big Luthor robot, and he's like, I think he's a good uncle, actually. That was kind of what I came away with this issue on. I was like, he's like, okay, but make sure that you're watching what I'm doing, okay?
He's trying to teach her something.
I want to teach you this.
A new life skill.
And then afterwards, I'm going to teach you how to drive the car, and only then do you get to use the car, and then you can become superpowered. We're doing it in that order. And then he gives her some weird messed up looking hat with like I don't even know what that thing is on it. Like a rod on the hat. She's into it right away. She puts it on right away.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what that was doing. Is it some kind of weapon or is it like a radio signal? I wasn't really sure.
They didn't really explain it. Well, like a lot of things in some of these issues, they don't really explain it. They just kind of skim right over it. He says something like, "I won't need any of this stuff," and he throws it at her and he says, "It's all yours to play with." So this is when he tells her about his plan, which is to fight Superman when he's at his lowest, that he's been working with the Tyrant Sun to make sure that it's like a red sun out there so that Superman is depowered, and he's going to win this fight now because basically Superman has been taken low by the fact that he is both dying and it's a red sun. But Nasty, you would think, would be interested in this. She's not, though. Because she has the craziest monologue of all time.
Yes, please read out the monologue.
She said, "I've been planning my wedding day." She says this out of nowhere, by the way. There's no context for this. No one asked. She says, "I'll be standing on an asteroid hurtling towards Earth with my undead groom." What? And then she says, "We'll exchange vows, commit suicide, and bring about mass species extinction at the same time." And he's just like, "You're so cute. I love you. What a great idea." I love that, like, she's like emo, like that she like probably shops at Hot Topic, and she's just like, "Oh my God, I can't wait to have a vampire boyfriend." She's been watching a lot of Twilight, probably.
Or is it a zombie boyfriend?
A zombie boyfriend. It could be a zombie boyfriend. She's been watching a lot of Walking Dead.
I guess there are various ways that someone could be undead. I don't want to think about it, though.
It's crazy.
But Nasty has been thinking about it a lot.
Truly one of the craziest things I've ever read. I had to go back and see like what led into this, and I believe me, nothing leads into this. It doesn't have anything to do with what they're talking about.
She just wants you to know her plans. Like, these are her goals. That's what she's working towards.
She's like, "This is what I've been thinking about, dreaming about, hoping for." And Lex is like, That's great, sweetie.
Those are good goals. So yeah, Nasty was pretty fun in this. I also wish I had gotten to see her a little bit more in this
She's so fun
story.
whenever she pops up in this story. She says like some of the most unhinged things I've ever seen on a comic page, and I just love her. I think we should have gotten more Nasty Luthor. I think she goes perfectly with the vibe of like this All-Star Superman Lex, which is like crazy high camp. Like I have no idea what's going on. She's like, I do, with my undead bride and I, and you're like, oh God, please. Nasty, no one asked.
New Rachel in the chat says, who would you cast as Nasty in the new DC Universe movies? Ooh, that
That's
would be
a great
tough.
question. I think Jenny Ortega could be really fun.
Oh yeah, I think
like a very deadpan Nasty, because it has to be somebody kind of younger.
Yeah,
very deadpan Nasty Luthor. I could imagine Jenny Ortega doing that monologue and being amazing at it.
I think that's a good choice. I don't think I'm going to beat that in any choice. So I think that is a good fan cast. Let's hope that if they include Nasty Luthor, maybe they have gone that route. I think that is a good casting choice. Okay, so we did mention how Superman well, I don't know, did we mention well, I think before we started the official live stream, we sort of dropped the Zabaro poetry moment in here. So
Yes.
Morgan, what did you think the fact that Zabaro gets another mention?
Yeah.
And we find out that Superman is really wanting to take care of Zabaro's poetry and make sure that it is preserved for all time. What did you think about that?
He's making sure that he's taking care of business, that he's taking care of the fortress before he goes. He cleans out the baby sun eater pit, which he does not seem like he needs to do. The robot's right there, and he's like, I'll do it. And he's like, no, this was my son, and I need to take care of it, which makes it sadder later.
Yeah.
There's the Bizarro Zoo, which, okay.
Which I thought was great, because if you actually look at the animals, they're a little backwards.
Yeah.
They're a little not right.
There's like a cat that's like full exorcist with like its face like turned 360 degrees around.
Yeah, the face is the wrong way.
180, I guess maybe. Yeah, the face is the wrong way. It's pretty creepy. There's what looks like a dinosaur giraffe. That's pretty cool.
Maybe, and like almost like a dolphin that's sort of like hovering on the water, not like swimming in the water.
There's a fish bird. I like the fish bird.
And the birds are like flying upside down, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Upside down fish bird. I do really like the Bizarro Zoo. The creatures are apparently from the cube Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah, I like the attention to detail that in that panel. I really enjoyed that.
And then when he goes to the next panel, he's like, here's some other stuff I'm going to keep. And you see in the background, it's Lois's costume that he so diligently made for her during his, let's say, down period. There's the picture that he took with Pete and Lana.
Yeah.
Over in the corner. There's like a lot of jewels and stuff I didn't really care about. And then there's the most important thing, which is Zabaro's poetry. He says, you asked for this to be preserved in super laminate, which is a very funny it was a very funny sentence, because it couldn't just be regular laminate. It had to be super laminate.
No, I guess it makes it super, super strong.
And then Superman says Zabaro's poetry, that lonely, sane voice on a sunken, dark, and marvelous world. And I thought to myself, wait, like, was it good though? Are you saying it was good? Because that is not what you said to Zabaro, honestly. And then I kind of started getting upset for Zabaro, because Zabaro was like, this is like from, oh no, we lost Rebecca. She got so upset by the critiques of Zabaro's poetry that she had to leave the stream.
Oh, I am so sorry. This thing is so sensitive. Like, if I move my touchpad just slightly, it like knocks me out. So I'm sorry. You were upset on Zabaro's behalf.
I said that you got so upset on Zabaro's behalf, you had to leave.
I had to go.
You had to
I
just
couldn't
go.
handle it. Yes.
But I think it's funny that I guess maybe he doesn't talk about the quality of the poetry, but it would be very funny if he was like, no, actually, I thought the poetry was like really good, but Zabaro was like a little too thirsty for it. You know what I mean? Like, Zabaro was like, here is everything that I've ever worked on. Like, I poured out my life into this poetry. What do you think? And Superman's like, good start. And then when he gets back to Earth, he's like, "It's beautiful, actually." It's like, well, Zabaro can't hear you now.
Well, what I think is interesting, if you think about it, like historically, does it need to be good or bad? It just needs to be. It
That's
just needs to
true.
exist. Like
Mm-hmm.
1,000 years in the future, are they going to care if it's good or bad? They're just going to be like, wow, this is poetry from the cubed earth.
That's
And this
true.
is from the Bizarro world. Wow. And maybe like 1,000 years from now, they're gonna look at this in like a Superman museum or something, and they're gonna have more admiration for it because it's been so preserved with the super laminate.
Super laminate. They're
So
gonna
it
be like,
doesn't
wow.
it doesn't even matter if it's good or bad. I mean, think about all the art from so many hundreds of years
That's
ago. And
true.
sometimes I'm like, that's not that great.
But it's from
history.
It's history. It's art for art's sake. It doesn't have to be good or bad. It just has to be, you know? That was one of my favorite moments of the whole episode, though, that they pulled out Zabaro's poetry again, especially because we spent so much time in that issue talking about it and laughing about how kind of cruel he was in the critique of it, where Zabaro was like, "This is the thing that means the most to me. What do you think?" And Superman's like, "Yeah, it's okay. I left some notes in the margins if you want." You spelled some stuff wrong.
Spelled it backwards, actually.
Yeah. So that was great, and also it reminded me of that issue, which I thought was a very insane, fun issue. So I liked the callbacks early in this issue. I thought it was like, this is the penultimate issue, and I like that they took some time to be like, "Hey, remember when Superman did that? Remember when Superman did that?" Even if they don't talk about, say, like Lois getting superpowers, which I guess does come into play in this issue, or like Pete and Lana and that flashback. We see the little signs of those previous issues in the run in the background, which I really liked.
Yeah, that the Zabaro poetry thing actually made me really like Superman in this issue because he was actually following through on something he told Zabaro that he would do, and really honoring his time there on the cubed Earth and wanting to preserve that part of their history. Because who knows? The sledging happened, and who knows if they're still around. Do they come back after the sledging? I don't know.
We don't know.
So this could be the last of the Bizarro world cubed Earth. So Superman is preserving their culture and their tradition of writing poetry for future generations.
I will say, like, in the last couple of issues, Superman has come through on like a couple of things. It does feel like he is incorporating some of the criticisms lobbed against him. They're like, he meets the other Kryptonians and they're like, "It doesn't feel like you're doing anything about Kandor." And he's like, "Oh, yeah, I guess I have left it on that precarious pedestal for too long." And then in the last issue, he makes sure that he sees something for Kandor. He lets out the baby sun eater. He immortalizes Zabaro's poetry. He's like, "I did tell Zabaro I'd be back for him." And I'm like, I don't have time for that. But
and I'm supposed to die soon.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to make it realistically. I did say maybe, honestly.
I didn't promise him anything.
But I can put this up in the Super Museum. So I like that Superman is kind of getting to some of these things and some of these people, and even kind of admitting, like, I had some of this stuff on the back burner, but now I'm kind of realigning some priorities and like making time for things that are important to me. So I like that about the last couple of issues.
And thinking about that with Superman, if he doesn't die now, that sort of takes away all the meaning from those things for me. Like in his impending upcoming death, he is trying to make things right before he goes. And if he doesn't die now, it just kind of takes away all the meaning of those things he's doing before he goes. So that makes me even more pro Superman death.
He's got to die.
He has got to die. I'm gonna be so mad if he doesn't die. Morgan, we've kind of touched on a lot of things in the story for this one. Do you have anything else that you wanted to talk about?
I think we pretty much touched on everything in this story. I forgot to mention that Nasty Luther apparently has like a tank that she's just driving down the streets of Metropolis.
Sure.
Truly love that for her. But she is quickly bribed by the idea of having her picture in the paper, which also seems character correct from what we know about her. But yeah, I think we pretty much covered a lot. I will be interested to see, we've seen they started to bring some stuff early in the run back in to the end, which I like. I think that I like a nice round circle moment. So we got some of those in this issue. And I think, I'm really curious on where it goes, because where we leave it is Lex Luthor is breaking into the Daily Planet. He's all powerful, and Clark/Superman is dead.
No heartbeat.
So, no heartbeat. It seems bad for our boy. So I don't know what's going to happen in this last issue.
And it's interesting because I think does he still have a challenge left?
I have not been keeping track of.
I have not.
If
Anybody in the chat has been keeping count, I'd be curious if we have gotten to the end yet, or if he has another one still left that we have to accomplish.
It seemed like the Tyrant Sun was a big one, and maybe the last one, and that's the one that he got to in this issue. So it feels like he's probably done all the challenges, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think this is a good one to go out on. I think talking about the full circle nature of the first issue, the sun is starting to poison and kill him, and so in this issue, he is now faced with another sun that maybe takes a lot out of him that ends up killing him. So I think that the full circle nature of that is pretty cool, in my opinion. Yes, go ahead.
I saw 2 quick comments in the chat I wanted to bring up. One was from Mind the Gap, who says, maybe I will be wrong, but I think the glowing thing in the Superman trailers is Solaris.
Oh, okay. So this could be interesting. Now, do you think, just to think this out, because we have no idea what the Superman movie is about. No clue.
None at all.
I just know that like the Daily Planet staff is in there. There's a Clark Kent, there's a Superman, there's a Crypto. That's all, and there's a Lex Luthor. That's all I know about this movie. There's some Justice Leaguers. What's the plot? I don't know. I don't know what's happening. But does the Solaris, the Sun Tyrant, mean something if Superman is not affected by the sun at the beginning of the story? Does it have that same kind of effect? Talking about the full circle nature of the story with the sun.
Probably not.
If he's just a big bad at the end.
Yeah, it's probably not going to have the same emotional weight. I will say, I think Solaris seems like a cool villain.
It seems like a James Gunn villain.
It does. It does, because I do feel like who was it? The villain in his Suicide Squad movie? Starro, which I feel like is a similar vibe, just like a big blob,
just a weird character,
just a weird, big weird blob with an eye.
It was almost like a Starro, like he's a starfish, I think.
He's a starfish, with like
just
a big,
like really big weird looking starfish.
With like a big eye, I think, in like the middle.
Do you know who helps defeat Starro in the first appearance of the Justice League? Do you remember?
I don't think
our boy Snapper Carr.
Oh,
first
Snapper.
appearance of Snapper
That's
Carr.
Right.
Helps the Justice League.
That's what that movie was missing. Some snaps, baby. So I could see this being a villain in the movie without maybe the Superman is dying context. I don't think it would be as affecting of a villain as it is in this run, because of he's dying from sun poisoning. It's a Tyrant Sun issue, but I could for sure see him being a big villain, and maybe like a villain that like Lex Luthor is working with. I could see that being something that they pulled from this run. I think that would maybe make sense.
I wonder if we would get a Sun Eater.
A big screen Sun Eater? James Gunn, you better not have killed that Sun Eater in the movie.
I mean, if you're promising us Solaris the Sun Tyrant, I feel like we are now expecting a Sun Eater.
The Sun Eater better win this time. That's all I'm saying.
Put your own spin on the story.
I see Mind the Gap in the chat says, talking about the feats. I think Superman has 3 left. Mind the Gap says,
So maybe,
which is a lot going into the finale,
especially if he's on the floor with no heartbeat.
especially since he's dead.
How's he going to be doing that? All right, well, we'll see what happens.
I don't know about that one.
So that's cool. And I also see Stanley says Rebecca wants to kill Superman. Only because it has been promised.
It has been prophesied.
I will say, this is a side note, Superman and Lois promised the death of Superman.
Uh-huh.
And it really followed through with that promise and did it in a very unique way. And I will say, kudos to Superman and Lois. Ended really well as a series.
Nice.
And highly recommend for me. I finally watched season 4. I'd been putting it off because I was like, I don't know if I want this to end. It was great. I will say it was great.
Nice. Honestly, I feel like I'm more likely to watch it now knowing that it had like a strong ending, because sometimes when like a show gets canceled, even if like they know it's going to be the last season, the endings are 50-50 sometimes. Like sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not so good. Sometimes they kind of ruin the whole show. But it's good to know that this was a strong ending.
I was pleasantly surprised. I didn't know how they were going to wrap it up, and make sure for the last 2 seasons you have boxes of tissues nearby.
No. Emotions.
It is funny to me that a lot of people are like, oh, the Zack Snyder Superman movies are so dark and there's no jokes and no humor. And I'm like, have you seen Superman and Lois? There's almost no humor in it. It's all serious. Season 3 alone was just all like, I cried every episode in season 3. So I don't want to hear it from people. But also, Superman and Lois was very good, even though it was heart-wrenching most of the time. With this slight levity, but not a lot of it. But I thought it did end well, and so I mention all of that to say, if you're going to promise me, like reiterating over and over, that you're going to kill Superman, I feel like you need to do it. You can't just walk away from that at some point. You need to commit to it. If there's anything else, or if there's not anything else you want to talk about with the story, is there anything about the art that you had questions about or that you enjoyed?
I think we talked about the thing I had questions about, which was like how Superman defeated the tyrant son, like what exactly he punched enough. I think that the art was like a little bit unclear on that, like how that fight sort of resolved itself. I wasn't 100% clear on it. I know that there was punching involved, but in what what specifically, I was a little bit unclear if he like punched a specific spot that he knew was like a weak spot of the tyrant son.
Yeah, it looks like he punches him in the eye of some kind. So I'm not really sure.
Sort of like the sun seems to have like 2 eye hole kind of things on it. He like punches it in one of them, I guess, and then maybe he punches the other one. There's like a floating orb in the middle of it, it looks like, and I think he punches that. Is that the computer? Who knows?
Oh, maybe. I don't know. I think that's supposed to be up to your discretion, up to your interpretation, I guess. You
can just really decide. That's a sort of choose your own adventure with how this thing works.
For me, I like the sequence of panels where Lex is getting electrocuted, just because of the way it builds up the drama of, oh no, did they actually kill Lex Luthor? And he eventually reveals himself to still be there, and then he becomes superpowered. So I liked the quickness almost when that happens. Like if I'm looking at it in the guided view with the digital version, there's like a really big tension that builds, and then it's like, oh no, what is he doing? What is happening? So I really enjoyed those sequences of panels, because when I opened up the issue, I was like, oh, he's like not getting out of here. He's like going in the chair. So I thought that was a really cool like opening set of panels for this one, because it was kind of like a big shock for me. The question I did have about the art, I know we sort of mentioned it, that Superman, he goes into the gravity stable, I think is what Robot 7 calls it. Superman is like using some sort of hose of fire to clean the stable, but I was kind of confused as to what was he using to do that. And was he like cleaning off the dead bodies, or like there's like blood on the on part of it. And I
What's
was
he
like,
been feeding this thing?
I don't know, but I had a lot of questions about like, what was going down there in the Sun Eater's stable. I did not understand that
Now,
much.
I do have one question, which is there's a little kryptonese in this. Did you have a chance to look at it?
So the only kryptonese that I did have time to there's a couple of panels. The one that I was able to just quickly look at was after Superman he's about to fight Solaris, the Sun Tyrant, and he says, this is Superman signing out. The panel after that says goodbye. So he said like right before his Hamlet panel where he's looking at the skull. But there is
we
another.
Know he loves Shakespeare.
He has read the complete works of Shakespeare.
He had a lot of time in that bedroom.
But I did not get a chance because there's a lot of it. He said there's a panel where it says blessed with friends like Pete and Lana and Jimmy, and he talks about Batman and all the amazing people he's known. There's a lot of kryptonese there. I think what I'm going to have to do is before the final episode, I'm going to have to go, or the final discussion we have of All-Star Superman, I'm going to go through all the kryptonese and try to get all of that done, just because I'm out of practice. I haven't had to translate kryptonese in a while, and so I'm out of practice. I definitely know the one said goodbye there. So I'll have to figure out the hidden messages in the kryptonese. So if anybody in the chat already has that decoded, let us know. But I unfortunately did not have time to do that. So I'll try to get all of that done by the final issue. Any other questions about the art or thoughts about the art?
I actually really like the panel that you used as the background of this, where Superman and all of the robots from the fortress are all flying off to go into battle with Solaris. I thought that was a really cool, like, 2-panel spread on that page. I thought it looked really cool.
In photography, that would be what is known as a leading line. So the way that panel is composed, it is leading you to look at something because it's sort of forcing you to look at this line. So that's what I like about it. Is it's kind of it's a curved line, but it's leading your eyeball to look in a certain way. So I thought that was cool. It showed Superman as a leader. He's leading an army of robots to go face the Sun Tyrant. So I thought that was pretty cool. Well, I think that kind of covers our discussion there. So, Morgan, are you excited to find out what happens in the final issue?
I am very excited. Now, we had a quick question in the chat from Stanley.
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
Says, did this issue change your opinion of the series?
I think that might also be a question for next week. Maybe it's fair.
True.
Maybe it's fair to take it in totality. But I will say this issue, I'm taking them like issue by issue, but I will say, even if there were some things I liked about this issue, I don't think my opinion of the story so far has changed. I still think it's overrated nonsense. I still think it is too hyped. I still don't understand why people like this story. I still don't understand why it is so beloved, because I just don't mostly care about it. But I'm going to be fair, and I will judge it in totality next week. Maybe issue 12 is going to just bring it on home.
Turn it all around for you.
Yeah. So I don't think I can make that judgment until the next one.
I wouldn't say it changed my opinion of the series, but I did like that we were pulling some stuff in from earlier in the run where I was like, I don't really understand why we're doing this or why we're doing that, or like, okay, that seems like a long detour. And I like that it kind of pulled it into this issue. So while I don't think that it justified maybe spending like 2 issues with the Bizarros just to, see Zabaro's poetry up on the wall at the fortress, I do like the way that it started to weave all of these tales of all of these trials that he did into sort of what is becoming like the end game of the series. So yeah, I do think it's too, like it's too close to call. It's too early to have like a real opinion on how it is, because I think we have to see how it wraps up. But I do think that they're starting to do some work for me, that it's like, okay, we're starting to like bring things together.
Yeah, I think even if I said this issue, number 11, started to change the series for me, what if issue 12 is like a total dud?
That
And it
well,
just like
then
resets
yeah,
me. I'm just regressing back to my hatred
and then
of
you're
the
just
story.
like
Washing my hands of
overrated
this.
nonsense, I say.
So we'll see. I'm gonna be pretty open-minded about it because I totally don't remember how this ends. But I still I don't have super positive thoughts about this series as a whole. But I think this issue did some good things with Superman. So I think a lot of the focus on Superman, I think, is very good. I wish there was more Clark Kent. I feel like Clark Kent gets the real shaft in this story, and I personally
Clark Kent's
think
like not even a character in this story, to be honest.
yeah, I think any Superman story that doesn't value Clark Kent as a very important aspect of his life, to me, is not really a complete Superman story. So that is sort of where I struggle with that. Does Bunsen have thoughts on this?
Bunson's not sure what he thinks about it yet. He says it's really too soon to tell. That's what he says. He's been reading along with us, and he's been liking it fine so far, but he said they could really mess up the landing on this, and that's what he's concerned about.
he's trying to keep an open mind. Maybe they will land it.
What's that, Bunsen? He says Superman must die.
No, so Bunsen also pro Superman death.
Bunsen is pro Superman death. That really a hot take coming from Bunsen. Wasn't expecting it.
Well, Bunsen, we'll see if it happens next week. And we'll come back to you to get your thoughts. Okay. Well, I think we're both kind of, it sounds like, kind of interested to see how this story wraps up and see what happens. So join us for the next episode of Supergirl Radio as we discover some for the first time, and maybe another one of us for the second time, but almost like the first time, just because memories are so bad. But we will see how this story wraps up and see if maybe our minds do change on this series as a whole.
The thrilling conclusion.
We are going to get to the end and see what happens. Well, I guess that's going to do it for this episode of Supergirl Radio. If you would like to contact us, you can post a comment on our website at supergirlradio.com. You can email us at supergirlradio@gmail.com. You can like us on Facebook and follow us on X and Instagram, all at Supergirl Radio. If you like what we do, we encourage you to give us a rating and write us a review on Apple Podcasts. We are also part of the DC TV Podcast and Multiverse of Color Network, so go check those out. You can hang out with us as we go live and wired on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern on the DC TV Podcast YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe so that you know when we go live, and maybe give us a like while you're here. That would be great. DC TV Podcast also has a TeePublic store, so if you're in need of new DC or DC Comics or DC TV related t-shirts, tank tops, sweaters, sweatshirts, magnets, tote bags, pins, phone cases, pillows, or stickers, go to supergirlradio.com and click on the TeePublic store link at the top of the page.
And since All-Star Superman number 11 was partially about Lex Luthor breaking out of prison, we have some Iron Heights designs in the DC TV Podcast TeePublic store that we would love to suggest.
Yeah, so maybe Lex Luthor wasn't in Iron Heights, but it's still a jail in the DC universe. So if you want to represent the prison side of the DC world, you can check out these designs for Iron Heights Penitentiary or the Department of Corrections in the DC TV Podcast TeePublic, the TeePublic store. If you would like to check those out. I think, some of those people deserve a little respect. The superheroes do all the work to get people to the prisons. Then the people in the penitentiaries have to take care of these criminals. So I think
as we saw this issue, it didn't go so well for them with Lex Luthor.
They're really putting themselves on the lines with these crazy people in the DC universe. So I think maybe show the Iron Heights penitentiaries some love, because they really go through a lot. Well, we would also like to thank our Legion of Super sponsors for supporting the Supergirl Radio Patreon. These people are Michael, Anne Marie, Yvonne, Nicola, Abby, Miriam, Nicole, Brian, Ethan, Majuba, Annie, Rachel, and Kit. If you would like to become a Legion of Super sponsor, you can go to patreon.com/Supergirl Radio. And if you would like to follow me on the interwebs, you can go to Vero True Social, which is my favorite social media platform. You can find me there at Derby Kid. I share what I'm watching, listening to. I share YouTube links that I think are interesting. You can also follow me on Instagram, where I am there at the Derby Kid, where I post the occasional picture, but mostly share funny videos that I see on Instagram. I also have a personal YouTube channel that you can subscribe to at youtube.com/duckmilkprod. Also do a travel blog with my brother at Oasis Broom, and we will be traveling to England this summer. So be on the lookout for that as we prepare to do that.
And you can find me on the internet at Mojotastic. And you can also find me as a co-host on the Legendary Ladies podcast, where this week we're going to be talking about the new Amazon movie, Another Simple Favor, which was the sequel to A Simple Favor,
right?
From 2018 with Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick. And so we decided to watch the sequel, which I really liked A Simple Favor back when it came out in the theaters. And I wish that this one had been in the theaters, because I would have had a good time seeing that, but we don't always get what we want. So I get to watch it on my couch. So we'll see what we have to say about the new one. And that episode should be up later this week, but you should follow us at the Legendary Ladies all over the place, particularly YouTube, to see when we get new episodes.
I'm interested. I remember seeing the original one, but I have not yet watched the sequel. So I'd be curious to hear y'all's take on it.
I will say, it takes place in Capri in Italy. So that's like on the kind of on the Amalfi Coast. And
I have been to Capri.
Same. So have I.
When I was 17 years old, though, that was a long time ago.
I went like 2 years ago, so it was a little bit more recent for me. And I was like, oh, they should get the lemon ice cream in the lemon, but they didn't do it. But
that sounds good.
It's worth it. The price of admission alone, just for like the setting and the scenery. It looks like they really shot there, and it looks beautiful.
Yeah.
I was like, take me back to Capri.
That's it. That's where they have, what is the Blue Grotto? Yes, I have been to the Blue Grotto. Very
did
pretty.
you go in? Is that the one
Yes.
where you have to basically lay flat and they pull you in?
I don't remember that we went all the way in. I think we went to the entrance, and we just kind of saw it, and then we went around. But I think you do have to get pretty low to actually
apparently if you want to go in. I think it's a little expensive, obviously, because it's a tourist trap. And if you want to go in, I think you have to basically kind of lay flat in the boat, because it's so it goes so far in, and the ceiling goes so low. But then once you go in, it's supposed to be gorgeous. I've seen it only through the magic of Instagram reels, and not in person, although we did do a little boat tour around Capri and got to see all the pretty cliff sides and the places where they shoot all the Versace commercials and stuff that. They pointed that out. They were like, George Clooney was over there shooting a commercial. They're like, that's where they shot the famous commercials. Lady, I don't know what commercial you're talking about. Are commercials famous?
I'm sure it mattered to someone. I'm sure
they were like, everybody loves that commercial. And I was like,
you know the one, the commercial. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, I do remember being on a boat near the Blue Grotto, but I don't think we went in. And honestly, I don't think I would do it. I don't think I could. I have a slight what is the fear of being claustrophobia. I don't have it's not maybe too debilitating, but I remember when I would go when I was going through cancer treatment, and I was doing I was helping out with some studies they were doing. And so I had to do the CAT scan stuff. So I would have to go into those little tubes.
That sucks.
Oh, I did not enjoy that. But a friend of mine, my friend Mike, told me that when you go into those things, start listing things out in your head. And I tried that, and it worked. It helped me think about something to focus on it so that I wasn't continually thinking about, oh my gosh, I'm in such a tight space. Oh my gosh, am I going to die in here? I can't get out. So I started like listing out like if I could remember my like senior high school class schedule, or if I could like remember like the order of 30 Rock episodes. And so I would start thinking about that. And it did help. So fun fact, a fun trick. If you ever in one of those tubes or like MRIs or like tight spaces or something, and you have trouble with it, make lists in your head, like a grocery list or something. That helped me. So I'm just passing that along. So would not probably want to go into the Blue Grotto now. I don't think I could do it now.
Yeah, Mike
beautiful.
Mike also has a touch of the claustrophobia. He doesn't like tight spaces. So I think the Blue Grotto might also have been a nightmare if we had tried to do it. Like,
I also have a fear, like if you get in there, maybe I can get in there.
But what if I can't get out?
Well, what if I can't get out? What if the cave like falls in on us?
Yeah.
I guess I'm swimming.
It's
I
too
guess I'm
late.
swimming out of there.
I got to swim out of the grotto. Can I do it?
Am I not as strong of a swimmer? Can I do it?
Have I been training?
So lots of fears that go into that. So maybe I'm better off just looking at it on Instagram as well.
I feel like we got most of the experience, to be honest.
Well, I guess that's a good way to end talking about all of our phobias and fears. But that sounds like a lot of fun to talk about. So I'm interested to hear your takes on that movie, and maybe I'll see what the scenery is like. I think that would be really cool because all my memories of Capri were a very long time ago. So I would be curious to revisit that. So that is very, very cool. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode of Supergirl Radio. But until next time, I'm still Rebecca Johnson.
And I'm still Morgan Glennon. And if you've made it with us this far in reading All-Star Superman, we couldn't ask for greater loyalty.
McGurk! I love typing.
Not mess with my Google Docs, Meeksy.
Supergirl Radio is going live every night of the week. How do you like it? Is becoming a human burrito a plus or a minus? I don't know. It does seem snug.
I mean, they say you are what you eat.
Kira. I love that.
So I do a podcast called Supergirl Radio, and one of our segments is Lena Luthor Boardroom or Ballroom, because
she looks like a boss in this coat.
Nasty Luthor like a different Luthor? It's not just Lena being mean?
No.
Helen Slater here. So fun to know that you're hosting a podcast called Supergirl Radio.
Yeah!